Hello everybody, my voice did something weird. Hello everybody, hope everyone's having a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. I don't know what happened there. Like, I breathed and I was like, oh, wait a minute, something's wrong. It's fine now, I gotta get my pre-stream, weird voice out. Which like, here's the funny thing about my personal life is that, like, I don't really talk all day. So whenever I stream, it's like the most I talk the whole day. So sometimes I don't even know how my voice quality is. Just because my job doesn't involve me talking at all. It's just me reading papers all day. And that's it. That's a living. But anyway, this is a rare Thursday stream and a rare, like, kind of sleepy time stream. I've been feeling eepy all day. So it's gonna be really chill, really, cool. Because usually I'm not streaming on Thursdays, but, temporarily, for the time being, until like X amount of weeks, however it takes, I'm gonna be streaming on Thursdays and not Wednesdays. So my break day is a little swapped, but so like my body is still kind of in that, wait a minute, nerd, this is your break day, what are you doing here? But yeah, anyway, I should say hi to everybody. Hi Onyx, welcome. Welcome in chat, even though you're fucking streaming. Thank you for being first. I don't know how Czech does this, because like every single fucking time he like tries to get the first redeem, even though half the time he's already streaming at that point. Like I don't even know how it fucking does it. And anyway, so surprisingly no Digimon today, even though it is Digimon Day. I didn't actually know this until like I saw a single tweet on my Twitter saying like, hey, it's the Digimon movie day, and I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't know it was a big thing. And then, like, Czech went online and was like, oh yeah, it's Digimon Day. I was like, is it? I didn't know August 1st Digimon Day. I don't, like, people, there's a lot of, like, pop culture, like, specific days where it's just like, oh yeah, on SpongeBob, it says, like, the 15th is this day. And everyone celebrates it. I don't have the brain capacity to remember anything that happens in pop culture. Like, even in my favoriteest of favorite shows and stuff, I don't retain the days and celebrate them. I'm just like, I forget about it until somebody else says it, like, oh yeah, it is that day. But anyway, so today, it is a little rare. Usually usually I'm playing Otome games on Tuesdays for Otome Tuesday. This is one of the rare games where, like, it isn't suitable for the whole group, because I believe, based on the information I see on, like, Steam and stuff, it is a, like, only 2 characters kind of thing, and it'd be kind of awkward to bring an Otome game with only 2 characters over to a big group of 5 of us, so, I'm just doing this to myself, because it looks really cool. This is a game I've been kind of, like, following myself for a little bit. They're also like making another game called The Last Winter Night, I believe. That looks like, the art's gorgeous, the music's already gorgeous, like the piano is, I'm really liking. Hi Faxes, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic one. E, yeah, E. Why are you saying E? Hi. Yeah, we're playing a demo today, Faxes. Strap in. Yeah, it's an Otome game. I believe, based on the settings, there's no voice acting, so I'm just gonna be voicing everything. Yep, it's no voice acting for this one. That means I'm gonna be doing it. So it is gonna be rare me actually doing voices. Cause I never fucking do that on Tuesdays. I read too much. Alright. So let's get started. I've been yapping a little too much at the beginning of this. I walk through an ashen wood alone. Frozen earth crunches, crick, crack beneath my feet. Fat, blurry snowflakes fly by, aglow with the moon's bright light. I could never truly be lost, not on a night like this, when she shines so round and full, gazing down from the winter sky above. Still, I'd best look like I am. I meander through ashen trails between the birches, silver girts stripped with dark, around the trunks of pines that breach the sky, boughs buried with snow. I walk between the shadows, slip through pools of light and dark, as if I have somewhere to be, but no knowledge of what path may take me to it. All while I wrap myself in a cape of red wool, pulling its rough spun fabric and fine needlework tight about my shoulders. My hands I rest inside thick sheepskin gloves. Even with the snow and mountain air in my face, the thrill of the hunt keeps the bite of coal at bay. My heart beats with an unfamiliar feeling, a pounding, jittering rhythm. I shiver with excitement. I hope whatever's out there mistakes it for fear. Oh? I sink my hands deep into the pockets of my skirts, running my gloved fingers along the edge of the deadly, sharpened point I carry. Oh shit. In a strange way, it feels more totem than weapon. I suppose I seek no ordinary prey. I almost smile, like my quarry. How strange to think I too might hide my fangs. Oh, ends it. Oh, hello! I can't stick around for long. Hope you have a good time. Oh, thank you. And thank you for reaching out about the demo. I'll try to catch the vibe for sure. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a good rest of your day, with whatever else you're doing. But thank you for stopping in. I'm really liking it so far. The vibes are good. And so I wander on, trembling like a newborn lamb. I wonder how the beast might appear. Would it call out to me in a voice nectar sweet, promising shelter? Would it lure me to its mountain lair, whispering honeyed words as it led me to a place where no screams can echo? Would it stalk me patiently, waiting for the moment I collapsed, cold, exhausted, in the snow? As I wander and wonder, I find myself growing impatient, the cause of my shaking turning from thrill to frost. When would it appear? Would it appear? Am I not the image of the perfect prey? I'm running out of time. No, such vexations are a luxury I can't indulge in. I cannot rush this. I need my mind clear. Surely there is some way of drawing its attention to me, until it can no longer look away. I feel in my pockets for the small, sharp knife I used to whittle my weapon to its deadly point. What simpler way than to entice the beast with iron freshly drawn? But did I need to go so far? Perhaps it was not flesh it was hungry for. Perhaps I simply need to call out to it. Ooh, oh, okay. Based on the Steam page, there is no, multiple endings, so it's just kind of like, I'm guessing it's just flavor text for now, depending on the choices. I think, I'm gonna draw blood. Fuck it. I draw the short knife from its sheath and roll up my sleeve. Without hesitation, I press the blade against the back of my forearm, watching as a thin line of crimson blossoms against my flesh. The pain that comes is a sensation I'd long forgotten. I almost cry out in surprise. Hastily, I take a long ribbon from my hair and wrap it tightly around the flesh wound. Red against red, it entwines around my arm, like the bark around a birch's trunk, like the skin of an apple, peeled away with a knife. A sudden sound echoes from the distance, shaking me from my thoughts. I turn. No longer do I hear the wind through the trees, the hooting of an owl or the scurrying of a squirrel. It is as if the world has gone completely silent since. Oh, and they turned off the piano too. Okay, that's cool. Save for a pair of carefully approaching footsteps. It is seconds longer before I see it. A pinprick of light in the distance, a blur of white like the snow swirling around me. Gradually, it comes closer, blinking, flickering, bright. All the while I stay still, so still like my heart has forgotten its beat. Closer it draws, closer still, until finally I make out its face, framed in white, lock eyes with it. With him. I can't move or turn away, I can't even breathe. That eye stares back at me with so deep a green. Oh god, I got a voice for man. You know, you think like if you knew you're doing a single voiced game later in the day, you'd actually think of something, but now like my brain's already like out the window. Are you lost? Shit, that sounded bad. Are you lost? He says, and like a spell broken, I shake out of my daze, the wind and the sound of the night roaring in my ears. His voice cuts through it all, clear as a bell. Are you hurt? The figure wears the skin of a man. A skin so impossibly fair it reminds me of the broken statue of an angel I once saw in a ruined castle, the surface of its marble pallor cold as ice when I brushed it with my fingertips. How flawlessly smooth, how otherworldly, that lonely thing left behind in a place of broken granite and brittle stone. I wonder if the being before me is as cold to the touch. He dresses from head to toe in white, shrouded in white, from his fine wool coat to his fur-trimmed cape and soft leather gloves. Even his hair, cascades of gentle curls that frame his face, shine silver, a radiant halo lit from the glow of the lantern he carries in his hand. The other he extends to me. Are you lost? He asks again. I won't hurt you. I'll see you to safety, I promise. Hot man. Hi, 1010, how you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic one. Yeah, hot man who we summoned by drawing our blood. We sliced our arm open and he's here. If that tells you anything about the hot man. Currently raiding. Oh, good luck with your raid. I hope you get the bee lady. I'm just assuming it's bee lady. The sound of his voice makes all the worry in the world melt away. It's so musical, so warm and calming, like liquid honey. It takes all my will not to take his hand and offer all at once. I mean, if we're trying to trick this guy, then who are you? Works better. You gotta play. We're just now seeing the main character. She's so pretty. Who are you? I ask. Simply a traveler passing through, he says with the faintest hint of a smile, soft, gentle, unthreatening. If I were naive, I would take his answer for that question at all. But I am not. Here? Alone in the woods at night? I would ask the same of you, Oh god, the French is getting me again. Why ever did you wander here? I was searching for something. Whatever it might be, you've come far. The nearest village is hours away. Have you a place to shelter for the night? No. I say as I quiver, as I fill my voice with the trembling of a lost, vulnerable thing. Lead me away. You have nothing to fear and everything to gain. Oh, yeah. Yeah! Pretty MC, I love... Yeah! I also like, once we see the MC again, we're gonna see more of that, but I like how there's like a pop of red in her design, especially when most of the art design is very monochrome. It makes the colors pop up even more, like you got the green right here and the green in the eyes and the red stuff. I like that a lot. It's playing with the style. Please come with me, I'm sojourning not far from here. You can share my fire and stay in the night in safety. Yeah, the red. I suppose I can't refuse such a kind offer, I reply, letting relief wash over my words. Show me your true face. Show me your fangs. Then please, good sir, lead the way. With his free hand, he offers me his arm. I hesitate. Neurons activated, yeah. Such closeness would avail me to my weapon, but just as easily put me at his mercy. How quickly would he strike back? With what strength could he stop me if I failed? Take his arm. I reach for his outstretched hand. My fingers linger on his gloved ones for only a moment before he links his arm through mine, sweeping his cloak around the both of us in one elegant motion. Ah! Cute! Oh, and I also like how the text box is like automatically appearing so we can actually like look at this before the text box just like blurs everything out. Alright, I cannot help but gasp. Forgive me if I startled you. I thought you'd be warmer this way. I'm fine, I stammer, digging my other arm deep into my pockets, gripping my weapon tight. His wool cloak and warm furs around my shoulders do to keep away the cold. But I feel no warmth from him, no blush across his pallid cheeks, not one breath from his lips fogging in the night air. He smells of incense and pine and, faintly, the metallic tang of iron. I wonder if I've made a mistake. My heart hammers as I walk beside him, his beat an unfamiliar drumming in my chest. Thankfully, he slows his stride to match mine. I take a deep breath and keep myself steady, staying alert as he leads me onward through the trees. It doesn't seem he will strike me here. I must be patient. I will wait. Might I ask your name, he says, after we have walked some steps from the clearing. I have worn names like they were ribbons in my hair, dozens of names in all colors and shapes. To give one away now would be a frivolous thing. But names, even false ones, create familiarity, bonds. Would it be wiser to keep my heart closed? Just want to make sure. Okay. Might I ask your name? Okay. You may. You may, of course. Ah, there we go. Okay, so okay. So I guess the other option would make it so like we never give him a name and we just remain just the nameless MC. Huh. Well, my name's Nur. Nur. My name is Nur. Nur, he repeats, savoring each syllable, the single syllable. That's lovely. It sounds like he means it, like there's a heart that still beats beneath his borrowed skin, that flutters at the sight of goodness and beauty, that thrums at the sound of a maiden's name. And yours, I ask? Gabriel, he smiles. Like the old angels, I murmur. If I were naive, I would wonder if he is old enough to remember the angels from the days long before the mists descended. Oh! Before any gods and their icons who watched from above fled as the undead and unsated plunged the earth into pestilence and death and rot. I would wonder, had he ever plucked an apple from the branches of Elysium, tasted its sweet flesh? A lot of flesh in this game, but I know better. My parents were fond of old tales, both of them for different reasons, he said with a wistful smile. What reasons? My father valued the strength of divinity. My mother valued their tales of virtue. My name could be a gift, and I treasure mine as I treasure their memory. You must miss them. I do, he replies softly. I wait, but he does not continue. It's not enough. I need more. Show me what lies beneath your skin. Show me the beast that you are. Not that you asked something of me, I say. I believe it's only fair I ask you a question in turn. Very well then, ask away. Okay, This seems like a normal thing to ask, if we still want to keep low-key. Okay, ask about his purpose, because that's kind of little sussy or just wandering the woods. You said you're a traveler, but why here? Why these mountains, this forest? I often come to the mountains to hunt. I love the air here, the pristine wilderness. Of course you would, you wild thing. But sir, your clothes are too fine for a mere huntsman. You look fit to be well, if not a prince, then a knight of the Queen's Guard at least. The Queen? There is no queen that rules these lands, unless you speak of the Mist Queen. Why'd the music stop? Why'd the music stop? Oh, the Mist Queen, a figure shrouded in fog, in mystery like her name, whispered around campfires and village squares, in sober tones and drunken ones, in awe and reverence, but most often in fear. I've seen her knights before, marching in the wilds, their pyres burned on the hillside for days. Do you believe that she's lived since the dawn of time, that she bathes in the blood of men to keep her beauty? Not for a moment. I laugh. You speak as if you know her. Would you be afraid if I did, if I were servant of the Queen? No. I would call you a spinner of tall tales, good sir. I can scarcely believe she's immortal at all. The Mist Queen and her Ashen Prince, They sound more like fairy tales than living, well, unliving people. After all, who can remember a time before the mists fell? Who can say whether the undying still walk this earth? Yet, if you were only a servant, merely a pawn, I would think her unfit to be queen of anything at all. How poor her sense of virtue is. You believe me to be virtuous? Well, here you are, helping a poor lost damsel in the snow. I laugh. It's only human to help others in need. I shake my head. Some would disagree. Some would seek an advantage over the others. That is human nature, my hunter. In any case, there's something gentle about you. I cannot think to place you among her scores of blood-soaked knights. He looks at me for a long time. I wonder if I've said too much. You're a strange girl. A strange, bold girl. A girl? I am well past 20 summers, but do not think to ask how many, gentle hunter. I shall not. Have you a family then? I did, though I was a stranger to them at first. They welcomed me into their home, and they became just like family to me. I love them very much. But those days are gone now. He gives me a look of sympathy. I'm so sorry. I'm like you. I once had a wife and son, but plague took them from me. Don't worry, I can make that. Don't worry, Gabriel. I'm your rebound right here. I'm sorry for your loss. I consider what to say next. Nah, we're the rebound. I'm asking about the past. Have you always been a hunter? No. In fact, for much of my life, I hated the thought of harming anything, be it man or animal. My tale is truly a dull one. Fuck. Demoiselle. Is that it? Demoiselle? Okay. We have nothing but time. I wait for him to continue as we walk. My father was a knight-at-arms, but he died without land or fortune. I was very young, and so my mother was left to raise me alone in the humbled countryside town. I knew from an early age I didn't want to live a marital life like my father, so I apprenticed to a healer, then studied medicine as a young man. Martial life. Eventually, I returned to the small town, met and married a shepherdess with the loveliest smile in the world, and spent my days treating coughs and fevers, making poultices and tisanes, mending wounds. Until the plague, I finish. He is silent for some time. It was a horrible, cruel thing. To call it a sickness would be to call the ocean a mere pool. It did not spare any of his victims. It turned healthy, smiling folk into dying husks within days. I tried to save them. You did all you could. I can't imagine how awful it must have been. I lost myself for a time, and after that I found I could not return to the healing arts. I could not mend another bone, touch another skin, without feeling the rot beneath my fingertips. That's terrible. I'm sorry. Even the wind is silent as we walk, the crunching of our footsteps the only sound in the night. It's a relief when he turns the conversation away. I've spoken enough of unpleasant matters. Tell me something about you. What do you enjoy? I enjoy singing. I love songs. When I sing, I never truly feel alone. I agree. If any gods still lived, I'd thank them for blessing us with music. He looks about to speak, but hesitates. Are you often lonely? Oh, we just met. I'm quite used to it. Solitude is like an old friend to me now. Sometimes I wonder, is it better to be alone or to spend your life with someone you cannot give your heart to? Both of those sound lonely. A wise man would seek a third route. But what if you had no other option? What if fate had tied you together like roots intertwined? I had learned to grow beside them. I cannot imagine running away in solitude forever. I'll think it just as lonely for the other person. Would you abandon them, leave them to their burdens, not even try to overcome the fate you shared? Forgive me, I've burdened us with heavy topics again. But I thank you for your insights. Of course, gentle hunter. I search my mind for another question, another distraction, when suddenly a howl, long and low, cuts through the night. Wolves. Stay calm, he says in a hushed tone, folding his cloak around me as I clutch his arm. I did not realize I gripped him so tightly. I am calm. I should be calm. But the fear I feel, it isn't mine. It runs beneath my skin like a rapid coursing river. It twists inside the cage of my chest. I will my pulse to slow, but it does not. My mind cannot quell the instincts of a living heart. The howls grow louder, closer. I can feel them ringing in my ears. Your scent is too strong, I hear him murmur. He searches through his cloak for something, a small pouch, then pours its contents over the lantern. The flame burns brighter as a thick, earthy scent fills the air. It smells of ash and smoke, iron and dust. This way, he says, leading me by the arm. We come to a large pine, its ancient trunk at least 3 grown men wide. With a firm but not ungentle motion, he presses me against its trunk, sweeping his cloak around us. Yo! I feel the rough bark on my back through the wool of my cape, feel his arms around my shoulders, holding me tight. It takes all my will not to struggle, not to scream. It's all right, he says, melodious, soothing, a shepherd calling to a lamb. This will hide your scent. Listen to my voice. Hold on just a little longer. Hot. This close, I could hear his heartbeat beneath his chest, if only he had one. I could burn beneath his arms, if only they were not so cold, cold to the bone. We stand there for what feels like eternity before the howls grow silent. The only voice left on the wind is the whisper of the trees. I break free of him as soon as he lets me go, shaking. Too close, not yet, not here. Forgive me, it's not far ahead now. Can you walk the rest of the way? I'm fine, I say, steadying myself, fighting the quiver in my voice. Onward I follow as he leads me through the trees. The cottage comes to view as we turn the bend, almost as if conjured from the mist itself. Oh, cottage. It's a small, quaint thing, a lonely, strange thing to see, placed here like it was plucked from a fairy story. Its wooded walls are aged but sturdy, its sloping roof coated in fresh snow. It should be the home of a living, breathing woodsman, not a creature of the night. I had never guessed you would hide yourself in a place like this. It's beautiful, I say. Doesn't have any windows, either. It's the only place in the world I can feel truly safe. Its heavy door creaks open as he leads me inside. Oh, there's a window. Never mind, I was about to be like, ooh, creature of the night, you say? The cottage is small, with the short square windows and low walls, but appears well kept, a solitary home. Strings of dried herbs and mint horsetail apples hang from the ceiling. A table and stool sits at its center, stacked with clay pots and metal bowls. A stone hearth covers one wall. A narrow bed lined with fur sits against the other. A bookshelf, filled with a dozen or so well-warmed tomes, stands proudly in a corner, even as it teeters beneath jars of more herbs and flowers. The pop of color. The scent of incense, sweet and heady, fills my nose as he lights the kindling in the hearth. The embers cast his skin aglow, his silver curls and pallid features painted softly in the warm light. He unfastens his long, snow-white cloak and tosses it onto the stool. Carefully, slowly, I slip my hands free of my sheepskin gloves. I feel his gaze, his green eye watching me as I unravel my shawl from my pale throat. My fingers, still numb from the cold, fumble at the clasp of my cape. May I? He asks, stepping towards me. I nod, shaking. His hands, even gloves, are deft, swift, a surgeon's hands. They free my shoulders of the deep red wool, and set the fabric aside on the narrow bed. His gloved hand lingers near my collar. I do not move an inch. I can scarcely breathe. Show me your true self. Show me what you are. He brushes my cheek, a whisper of a touch, like he's afraid to hold me, like I am a statue that could crumble away beneath his fingers. May I? He asks again, barely audible. Yes, I whisper back. He brushes a lock of my dark hair behind my ear, then gently, slowly, brings his lips to my skin. They are so soft. His touch is like the snow that lands on my face, carried by the winter wind. Cold, but light, feather light on my cheek, gentle. Far too gentle. I do not want this delicate tenderness from him. I am not a fragile thing. Oh? I fold my hands around his neck, feel the downy softness of his hair as I slip my fingers through its ashen strands. He wraps me in his arms, holds me tight, kisses my hair, trails his lips down my... You! There we go! That's fucking record. That's a record. I shiver, tremble against him as his gloved hands run through my tresses, down my spine, feeling for the laces of my bodice. He pushes me, gently, onto the furs, turns me onto my stomach as he parts my hair. Found you? Michael. Oh, shit! I yelp as he pulls my hair back sharply back from my head. Tears bead in my eyes as his hand presses against my skull. He holds me as I thrash beneath him, traces with his fingertips that mark on my skin I'd forgotten lay at the base of my neck. The crooked crescent moon that I carved into my flesh with the sharp iron knife. Might I humbly ask, as your loyal consort? He whispers softly into my ear. The fire crackles and roars, casting flickering shadows around us, but I feel nothing but ice run through my veins. There is no hunger in his voice, no warmth, no desire. Only white, cold fury. Did you not think you could fool me, Celine? Who? I don't know what you mean. Let go of me. Give this up, Celine. I've known you far too long for a new skin to deceive me. Why are you here? What game are you playing? I swallow and go still, trying in vain not to slow my racing heart. Steadying my voice, I say, Let me go, my gentle hunter. I can hardly run from you here, can I? I feel him hesitate for a breath, a moment that feels like a century before he loosens his hold on my tresses, lifts his weight from the bed, and stands. The relief I feel is short-lived. I curse myself that I shiver still at the memory, the whisper of his touch. That I'd lost my own senses, forgot for a moment who I was in this body. That I've forgotten that I've mistaken his tenderness for anything other than the luring of his prey. I shift upright on the bed. I don't trust my legs not to buckle beneath their own weight. He stands, a few feet from me, a gloved hand over his pale lips as a sigh escapes him. Yet he does not need to breathe. How dramatic! Does looking at me, even in this borrowed form, disgust you so? Would you care to enlighten me now, my queen? He says, folding his arms. Take another breath. I could ask the same of you! I could ask the same of you, my hunter. Why don't you tell me, dear, why you're here alone in the mountains? Away from my castle, inviting pretty young things to your bed. I did not expect him to flinch at my words. The anger and pain that flashed through his face almost made me regret them. You hardly count as a maiden, sweetheart. You! He says sharply. And when did you have any right to criticize me? I never said a word about the scores of bloodied hearts you left in your wake. That is not what this is about. Then what is this about? Did you follow me? Did you think you could have your way with me if you stitch yourself in a pretty new face? I did no such thing. I know your victims have to die before you sew into them. Did you murder an innocent girl for petty plan. The final line makes my borrowed blood boil beneath my skin. You, how dare you, Gabriel? Have I ever been callous and unmerciful? Have I ever treated humans like my playthings? This girl was dead when I found her. He laughs. It's a short, dry, hollow sound, like the winter wind knocking against the walls. You haven't changed at all. A plaything. Is not how you treat her now, wearing her corpse like a summer gown. I would try to calm the iron that pounds through my veins, the anger that courses with it, but I do not. I cannot. To have a heart unstill is to have thought and feeling ring through every beat. I let my long-buried rage, my pain bleed through every vein of my being. Aren't you curious how she died, my loyal consort? I ask, mirroring his bitter, mocking tone. Why? Why should I be? She was killed, I seethe, by a beast wearing the skin of a man, one of our kind. His expression freezes. And she was not the first. Countless maidens have gone missing from the mountains, turning up dead, drained and cold. Colder than your eyes are now. And who should I find here but you? You think I did this? You think I killed them? I mean, there's not anybody else in the woods. Have you lost your mind? Why would you hide yourself in the wilderness? Why would you disappear for months? Why wouldn't you tell me where you'd gone? He goes quiet again, staring at me with a deathly gaze. His next words are nearly a whisper, but if words had weight, his would be heavier than stone. How dare you, Celine? How long have you known me? How many centuries have I followed you loyally? I never forced you to serve me. I did not beg you to follow me. I always gave you a choice. You didn't give me a choice when you turned me into this, he hisses, motioning to himself as he parts his hair from his face with a violent gesture. I look away. I cannot stare back at those eyes. He's right after all. After all this time, you still despise me. I don't despise you. I despise myself for believing that you trusted me. I do not reply. I hug my knees, still shaking, cursing my weakness, cursing the blood flushed beneath my skin, warm and flowing and despicably human. What was I thinking? Thought I had prepared myself well. I am the Mist Queen, a woman who has walked the earth for a millennium, wearing its many faces as the moon. It should be child's play to appear to him as an innocent maiden, test his loyalty, his intentions, discern his innocence or his guilt. And then, should I have found him fallen from grace, then I would fulfill the promise I make to each and every one of my faithful vassals, should ever their hunger outweigh their humanity. Yet with him, could I fulfill the oath I made so long ago, when I brought him back from the death, ash cold in my arms? Even knowing he could now be a monster, changed from the loyal knight I knew, but I look at him now. I cannot see anything but the face of a kind young doctor I met in the sleepy town by the wood. The face of the man I loved lifetimes ago. Perhaps the Mist Queen could steal her undead heart, cast aside her feelings. But foolishly, I'd forgotten one thing when I donned this skin. Flesh weighs down the spirit. Memories housed in a foreign mind may as well be half-remembered dreams. I do not feel like a monarch, a queen, because at this moment I am not. Now I am a girl of barely 20 summers, trapped with a man glaring death at her, though his face is of an angel's and his voice honey-sweet haunts their dreams. Just being in his presence fills me, with nothing but longing. How can I not hunger so desperately for his touch? How can I not wonder at the thoughts behind the mask of his eyes, if there is still a place for me inside his unbeating heart? My heartbeat thumps so loudly in my ears as we watch each other in silence. Finally, he takes his long cloak from the stool, fastens it around his shoulders, and moves towards the door, cracking it open as the night air creeps its tendrils inside the cabin. Where are you going? I shift, trying weakly to stand up. To see if what you've said is true. Liar. I know it when you avoid my gaze when you speak. You cannot bear to be near me. You're leaving? Now? I'll return. He pauses by the doorframe, silhouetted against the snow, and hails sharply. I like the, since there's only 2 characters, I like how the male, is over here, is cute. Yeah, ooh! Stay put. There's still much I would ask once you've cooled your head. Wait. He slams the door shut with a loud rattle. I don't hear his footsteps disappear into the cold, masked by the winter wind. Once I've cooled my head, you with your bitter sighs, Gabriel, you need as much as I do to calm yourself. I take a deep breath, and another, trying to push the thoughts from my mind. I fight the tears threatening to spill from this helpless girl's eyes, my eyes. I grit my teeth and finally pull myself upright. My legs wobble, but are steady enough to walk around the cramped cabin. It's easier to breathe without him near me, easier to think. I look at my surroundings. The fire still burns, offering precious warmth. Outside the short square window, pines and birches bow in the wind. The nightly sky still swirls with snow. I think of the wolves, of yellow eyes and howls filling the shadows. I will not get far if I try to leave. Perhaps I could find something here. Perhaps there was evidence in this place he safeguarded so well of its guilt. I have yet to find my proof after all, and I would not hurt him without it. I could not, I know that in my heart now. Yet, my deception has already failed. So much for this lovely skin. Am I merely fooling myself now? Was it time to abandon this body? Was it worth the risk to brave the night and its dangers to retrieve my old skin? Would I get another chance to if I simply stayed put and waited? I'm gonna search the room. I'm snooping. I decide to start looking around the room. It's a picture of a warm and solitary home if cramped and unkempt. I'm gonna get a drink of water. I'm getting a drink. This is really interesting so far. It's doing a lot of different things than typical VNs, and I'm liking it. Like, currently, we're not done with the demo yet. It is I think there's like 2 hours of content, so I'm assuming that's just reading and not reading it aloud. So probably a little longer than that, but as of right now, I'm liking it so far. So like one thing I'm really noticing is that the language used is a lot more denser than a lot of visual novels utilize, and I do like it. It's like reading a paper novel as opposed to like a VN, because VNs typically they rely a lot more on the visuals and stuff, so there's not as much descriptive language because they're just expecting to like, oh, you see it, and so you're witnessing it yourself. But this one, it actually kind of goes into more depth here. I see, yeah. It was kind of like at the beginning of the demo, I was kind of like tripping over my words where I was like, oh shit, it's a little more than usual. So yeah, I am liking it. It reads more of that style, whereas like typical like VNs, they rely more on the visuals to like describe what's going on, and also I don't know how to describe it because it sounds wrong. Like, it sounds insulting if I say it's simpler language, but like this is more like descriptive language. It's not like simpler language is not a bad thing at all, because personally my writing, I do simpler language. I just like format it in a like at its core, my kind of writing is simpler, but I format it in a way that makes it like I utilize my words a little differently. But here it's a little more like descriptive and like detailed, and I like it. It's hard for me to describe. I've been out of the trenches for so long that I've like lost all my sense of describing words now. Did he lure his victims here? Did any proof remain of lives taken and iron drained? The pain that flashed through his eye was real. I know him that well, at least. I know his every look, the shape of his mouth, the tilt of his head, how his unwavering gaze burns in my dreams. But what was the cause of the anguish? Anger or guilt? If my gentle wolf is not a killer, then what secrets does he keep? Secrets. I sift through the piles of garments and fur strewn about, his clothes worn and mended over the years with familiar crooked stitching. I toss them aside indignantly. My hunter has dexterous hands even through his thick white gloves, but how he'd shake whenever he held a needle. I scoffed once when I saw how he struggled. Why should fabric trouble him when he'd once done sutured flesh and sinew? He did not look at me nor speak to me for days. Some pieces are from recent decades, clean and neatly folded for once. I recognize each garment, cut and sewn by my own hand, a dark waistcoat I'd stitched with a pattern of overlapping feathers, a lace shirt I'd embroidered with tiny bell-shaped flowers and sickle-life leaves. How I nearly tore the skin off his back when he said he'd lost it. I almost feel as if the fabric in my hands was not clothing, but costume. A costume for a pretend prince in the awful play written for my unlife. But that's not untrue. Our second marriage is more false than the first. I think of his cold kisses at the back of my hand, on my hair, whenever he parted from me for distant lands, whenever eyes were upon us. How well he played the part of the perfect and loving consort. How skillfully he hid his distaste for me, how adept he was at keeping his secrets. What secrets are you hiding, Gabriel? I sigh. There's nothing in the pile of clothing to suggest they belong to anyone but him. But just as I am about to set them aside, I notice something peeking out from beneath the moth-eating cloak. Gingerly, I fish it out. It appears to be a hard leather case. The straps that hold it closed are already loose. Cautiously, I pry it open. Oh. Inside of it is an instrument, a wooden lyre carved with a pattern of graceful songbirds. It is no master craftsman's work. It was clearly made with a patient hand. Its surface is clean and polished. I pluck its strings. They are still tuned. I cannot stop the bitter feeling that swells in my throat as I hold this imperfect but beautiful thing in my hands. I don't remember the last time he so much as hummed a tune beneath his breath. He never sang for me, not when I begged. I thought he had given up his music, buried his songs along with his past. It hurts now to know it wasn't the truth at all, that it was only me he would not sing for. Who then? Who do you sing it for out in the wilderness alone? Who gets to hear your precious songs? I imagine for a moment flinging the instrument into the fire, watching the precious wooden birds carved on its surface blacken and char in the hearth. A desire that only grows more when I look at it. No, don't burn the lyre, leave it be. I stop that impulse before I do something I would regret. I look at the instrument and imagining him carving it, painstakingly, with his careful, gloved hands, setting the wood, stretching the strings. Yeah, leave the lyre alone! It did nothing wrong! I imagine him tentatively plucking the notes, drawing the song from the carved bird's beaks. I remember the other things I had broken and burned in front of him. On nights when I fed, when the memories were too much for my slow-beating heart to contain, objects can always be replaced, I would say, more to console myself than him. Only once did I go too far. Only once did I take away something that could never be replaced. Though a lyre could be carved again, though it would feel satisfying to ruin it now, I know it'll only lead to more regret soon after. I carefully shut the case and place it back beneath the pile of his clothes. I sit with my head against my knees for a long while, trying not to think, remember, or feel. Finally, I turn a glance at the shelf filled with the herb jars and piled tomes with deep fatigue. Shaking off my weariness, I reach for a volume from the shelf. Its spine cracks as I open it. The pages are filled with the scrawling handwriting, notes and paragraphs in fading ink nearly swallowing myriad sketches of plants and herbs. You were never one for keeping idle, were you? I set the book aside, sink down to the floor, bury my head in my arms, and lean back against the bed. It's the living blood addling my senses, I think, but I can't bear how much his presence fills this place. I can imagine him, bent over the teetering table, jotting something down with his perfect, elegant gloved hands. Laying his head on the pillow, listening to the mountain wind, eyes blinking closed, sleeping off the iron imbibed from the spirit's nowhere. Dreaming of something I can only guess at, for how many times have I heard him cry out in his sleep? It feels as if I am the intruder here. It feels as if this place is a piece of him I was never welcome to see. I continue my search without enthusiasm, finding no signs of any other inhabitants, willing or otherwise. It seems that no other soul has ever visited here, or that he cleaned after himself well. I stand up, only to collapse back into the bed. The hours in the woods, the walk through the cold, the heated words, all have exhausted this weak and unfamiliar body. I need a moment's rest before I resume my search. I curse the iron, warm and flowing, running through my veins. The fire still burns in the hearth, and the furs are so soft. I only close my eyes for a moment. I stand in a long, empty hallway. Darkness is all around me, Kingdom Hearts, blacker than the night without a moon. A polished mirror stands in gilded frame. I step towards it, my footfalls making no sound. Oh. My face stares back at me. Ashen and pale, framed by dull, dark hair, like a dim moon on a foggy night. My eyes are like slate, cold, gray, lifeless. I close them. When I open them again, she is gone. A new face stares back at me. A young woman with glossy black locks, bright red lips, and eyes that twinkle like jewels. Like what you see, my queen? Want to rip it off and wear it yourself, she asks, mouth twisting in a wicked smile. Oh. I step back from the mirror, but her voice still rings, growing louder. Do you remember my name, Celine? She asks. Do you remember the name of the corpse he stole from her grieving parents? Oh, he stole it! Maya, I stammer. I had no choice. The girl in the mirror twists and morphs, screaming, laughing, flesh shifting and turning until her skin rests, finally in a shape all too familiar. We're just kleptomaniac things, stealing bodies. Do you remember my name, Celine? Do you remember the name he borrowed when he stole my skin? Wore my flesh, played house with my corpse? Of course I remember. Oh shit, whoa! Well, we're gonna see all of her skin suits that she stole. Of course I remember. Your name. Okay. What name should we name this one? What name? I'm gonna name it Vel. Mila Maxwell, okay. Mila Maxwell. Mila Maxwell. What's his name? Endymion. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Eternal Dreamer? It fits him. He laughs, gently petting the sleeping lamb. Autumn. 336 years ago. This is going in some wild directions already. I was lucky, beyond lucky, when I found this body. This poor woman, of course, was not. She'd slipped and broken her neck, falling from a muddy trail in the hills. A foolish risk to take, all for a helpless lamb. I could have drained her body dry, and oh, I was tempted. I was ravenous that day when I found her, full to bursting with iron. But I tempered my hunger. I stitched her back up, very, very carefully, until she looked good as new, like she'd never so much as taken a tumble. Well, save for the crescent moon carved beneath the crook of her collar like an old faded scar. Hungrier than ever in my brand new skin, I devoured the lamb. Then I walked through the hills, through the wood to her, now my home. With her flock all to myself, I would not go hungry for quite some time. So they're all like, they eat blood. She was an eccentric one, to say the least, this girl. Solitary and aloof, she kept to herself, with only her prized sheep as company. The townsfolk whispered unkind things about her. She showed them little interest in turn. Who would notice if her mind and heart had turned? Her animals did at first, but they learned quickly to obey their new master. I had room for a very, very, very long time. Now, to suddenly spend my days in a quaint countryside town, tending fluffy, fat, white sheep as the days and seasons passed me by. Such idleness was like Arcadia, pure, wonderful, halcyon calm. My new form wasn't terrible to look at either. It was strange to see her face stare back at me in the creek's surface, her large, dark eyes round, freckled cheeks. Her hair was lovely, bright red like flames, like the fleeting leaves of autumn before they wither and cover the ground in muddying, dying browns. Spring and autumn, I always loved the transitory seasons. Cool but bright, and unlike my kind, fleeting. Winter, then spring, then summer had all passed when he arrived. The greens had just begun to turn to gold, copper, and ruby. The nights bled longer into the days, sunsets and sunrises spreading through the sky like open wounds. Like many creatures that stalked through the waxing cold, I was hungry. Hungry for human blood. Though he was a traveler, I had never seen his face before. I would remember it if I had. Hungry. His steps were so light I barely heard them sound throughout the forest trail. But I could hear his voice, clear as a bell, humming a small song to himself. I listened, and I watched him through the trees. He wore plain clothes, mended and remended with clumsy stitches. He was tall, his strides were long. His hair was long and fell loosely behind his back, its silver strands framing his brow. How it shone in the evening sun, whiter than the fleece of a lamb. I waited as he drew near. And then I screamed. I didn't expect to slip and genuinely hurt myself. I didn't expect to need his help. It was your fault for distracting me, I say, more to myself than to him. I'd kick you if it wasn't for this bloody strain. I can't advise that, Mademoiselle. You'll hurt yourself again. Ah! He stops as I lean against him and mutter something intelligible. Do you need to rest? He asks softly, voice tinged with concern. You've only just met me. Why do you care? Carry me back. I can't walk anymore. I didn't expect him to literally sweep me off my feet. I was joking. This is fine, he says, as lightly as my body apparently weighs. You feel like a feather. Aww. Just hurry back before it gets too dark. We'll be alright. The moon is full tonight, see? The trees in the path ahead clear their branches from the sky. As he walks, I look up to see her full, bright face shining down on me. My fave, yeah! So she is, I murmur. The lamb is much more weary than I am, forced to walk the long trail on its own legs, and falls fast asleep at its mother's side. What's his name? The stranger, no longer a stranger, asks. Who? This little one whom you went through so much trouble for, he replies, motioning to the slumbering lamb. I look up at the sky, at the moon and her stars, and say the first thing that comes to mind. Endymion? The eternal dreamer? Fits him. He laughs, gently petting its soft fleece. There's something beautiful about the sound of his laughter as it leaves his lips. It reminds me of the notes of a lyre, lovingly tuned, of a song I'd once heard at a time and place far, far from these sleepy woods. Perhaps it's the blood that flows within me, the fatigue of this human frame. Night was never the domain of the living that plays with my senses. It feels for a moment like I am standing inside a deep and pleasant dream. The wind gently caresses a strand of his long hair, silver as the moon above us, as he turns to look to me with a look of embarrassment. How silly of me. I asked for this young lad's name before yours, demoiselle. My name is Gabriel, he says warmly. And you are? The days grew colder and darker, autumn bleeding into winter. The old year breathed its last. A new one sprung from its ashes as the nights grew short. My body did not change. But the world around me did. The days grew warmer as the earth bloomed into spring and then, finally, summer. Like the seasons, my aloofness at his presence gradually turned to acceptance. And then, before I knew it, fondness. Soon after, he was in my thoughts every night. Instead of the nightmares, the centuries of memories that tormented me in my sleep, I saw his face, smiling. I heard his voice, clear and living, soothing me with a gentle song. He always smiled at me, even when I stared past him, stone-faced, arrogant, disinterested. But now, when I smiled back, the way his eyes would shine and brighten his entire face. I felt that of all the people in the world, I was the only one who looked it that way. The day would come when he knelt before me on one knee. I can't marry you, I tell him, stealing my voice. I turned my back so he could not see my face. Won't you tell me why? He asked quietly, with tenderness, without hurt. Because this body will wither soon when the blood of my flock runs dry, or the villagers find out what I am. Because to be at your side heightens the risk 100-fold. Because I am not among the living, though my cheeks grow red and my heart flutters against my will when I look at you, when I hear you speak those words. They make me forget who I am, make me wish that for what I must never desire. I can't give you children. I know, but I'm not a lord or a prince. I don't need you to bear my flesh and blood. Besides, I know nothing can replace the lambs as your little ones. I wish I could tell you I tended them so tenderly because they are my lifeblood. I hardly have the means to keep a hearth and home. You've seen the way I live. But you can stitch and sew like no one I've ever seen, and I am a half-decent cook at the very least, oh, the perfect man. If only you weren't so sweet. I still cannot. Do you dislike me? No, spirits, If you don't feel the same for me, I'll leave your sight at once and forever. You fool. I love you more than you can ever imagine. I love you more than the moon loves her fiery star, more than anything and everything I've ever held dear in the long centuries I've walked through mist and earth. I want so much to hold you and never let go. Then don't torture me so. Please say yes. Please make me the happiest man in the world. If only I were myself, my true self, could I have refused you. But I was not. At that moment, I wore, and as I was, the foolish young woman who loved you. Aww. Oh, they're gonna die. How cute! They're gonna die. I mean, he's gonna die. She's already dead. There was guilt in the back of my mind and the far corners of my heart in the days that followed. Guilt, a foolish and human emotion. But I was so happy. I could bury it beneath the joy of flood that flowed through me, that poured from my heart like a fountain. It seeped back, slowly, a poison in my veins on the eve we were wed. I knew that to take your hand, to walk this path, was to take a step I could not turn back. That perhaps the gods and their icons, if ever they lived, would not forgive. Yet I was steeped in so much sin and blood and cruelty already. I had taken so much, stolen so much, to continue my existence. but I did not merely wish to simply exist any longer. He made me wish, for the first time since I had truly been alive, to live. Perhaps he sensed that hesitation, the feeble, silent cry of my conscience. "They don't have to. We can wait if you're not ready." Why did his words only make me grow hungrier? "I am. I want this." I shut his soft, sweet lips with mine. The body I wore when I spoke my vows to you was both living and unliving. A body that was not mine to live with, to love with. But the heart that beat like a butterfly's wings when you kissed me traced the crooked moon beneath my collar as you slipped free the laces of my wedding gown. Dying together, believe it or not, romantic as fuck. I mean, I'm pretty sure pretty sure the guy hates her in the present day. Whoopsie, romance failed. It beat like my own. The skin that lightened like embers as he held me in your hands. Guys, is it romantic to turn your beloved into a hideous well, not really hideous, he's still hot. A horrible monster, and that he hates you after 300 years of being not a human anymore? Fellas, is that romance? Every inch of it felt like my own. I loved him too much to stop. I hungered more for his touch than the sweetest taste of iron on my tongue. Though the name he whispered into my ear was not mine, the tenderness with which he spoke it belonged only to me. What did it matter what shape I wore, what form his fingers traced, or gentle arms embraced? Your arms were made only to hold me. Your eyes were made only to behold me. Your heart shall beat only if it loves me. There, laying my head against his chest, lulled by the rhythm of his gentle heart, I thought of my body, my true body, lying cold beneath the earth. I wished that I, could feel this warmth. This fragile thing that I had now in my hands, I would cling to it until death again parted me from him. Until my unaging, undead form finally grew still. It would be a love as fleeting as a red leaf flitting through the autumn wind. Perhaps it was cruel of me to do so, but I could be no less callous in fate or time. Humans can hold memories for a lifetime, after all, yet they move ever forward, because they must. Because that is what it means to walk among the living. He would live a long, storied life, and I would be a brief but cherished memory in his heart. Just as I would hold him forever in my immortal and unbeating one. Or so I had thought. That night, cradled in his arms, I see the face of the girl whose skin I wear in my dreams, melting away into blood and bone. 333 years ago! I smile now at the villagers when I walk through town. I no longer hum only to myself as I spin wool into thread and thread into cloth. I share my joy with the birds, the flowers, the lambs, him. Like fabled Arcadia or fair Elysium, my tranquil days pass by in peace. Yet sorrow does not temper joy, it only makes it grow sweeter by contrast. And sorrows do pass us. He loses a patient for the first time, a mother to childbed fever. Soon, one of her sickly newborn twins follows her. How it eats at him, my poor, sweet, gentle lamb. I console him that day, as best I can. I have seen so much death, been the cause of it at times, I do not know what the words he needs. But I hold him tightly and let him hold me. Then at night I lull him to sleep, slip from my bed and feed on the iron still sweet. Mother and son are buried together. Nobody notices that corpses are lighter. Still it weighs on my beloved, in the days that follow, the image of that unbreathing babe, and that weak, weeping one left behind. And so, against the last fraying strands of my better judgment, I tell him, Let us take in that child as our own. Uh-oh. I sew the head of a small wooden doll, suturing the seam along its neck with the long red thread. It is a lamb. Its fleece is made by the softest wool I could spin. When I finish with its head, I take the thick black thread and give it new eyes, adding tiny white stitches for a twinkle in each one. Finally, I take another red thread for its mouth, stitching it a small, sweet smile. Every stitch must be perfect. It must be perfect. I work slowly and deliberately. I am careful, ever so careful, not to prick myself. I never enjoyed the sight of the iron escaping his flesh. So I yelp with surprise when I notice him behind me. Spirits, why don't you make any noise when you walk? Did I startle you? He asked sheepishly. Just as I am about to settle back into my chair with my needlebark, a loud wail comes from the bedroom. And now you've woken him! I rush towards this wooden cradle in our chamber, lift the crying infant into my arms and rock him, gently, saying, "Oh, hush, my love, my little lamb. Maman is here." Holding him in my arms, I start to sing. It's both pretty and eerie at the same time. The babe is fast asleep before I finish the last verse of my song. I set him down in his blankets and sigh, closing my eyes for a moment. As I stand, my beloved rests his head on my shoulder and holds me from behind. Nestled in his arms, I let him lead me back to the seat in front of the hearth. It feels so warm and blissful to be cradled myself. My love plants a kiss on my red hair before he settles beside me. "Forgive me," he whispers. "I just wanted to watch you work." "You're forgiven this time, but don't you dare sneak up on a woman with a needle again." He laughs very quietly, a sound sweeter than the lyre's tune, a robin song. "I shall not." I finish stitching the dolls we sit in each other's company. "Though I was deft at stitching wounds," he whispers, "but I've never seen anyone as skilled with the needle as you." One of my many talents. Perhaps he could learn a thing or two from me. "Humble as always, my darling," he laughs softly. I wish I could bottle that sound and listen to it for eternity. Once I'm finally satisfied with my work, I check back on the babe, holding the doll in my hands. He's still sleeping soundly. "You have a magic touch, my darling. You get to fall asleep so quickly when I sing to him." I smile. "That's not true, my love. Who would dare slumber when you sing?" The baby boy before me is so warm and small. He must dream so gently as his small chest rises and falls. His cheeks are pink and round, his short curls soft as down. A happy coincidence that his hair is as red as mine. I'd almost forgotten what my own dark locks looked like. I would miss this flame-colored hair, a silly thing to treasure, perhaps, among so many things more precious that I will lose. But I would always have fondness for it now. As I watch him, the fullness of my heart travels to something cold, gnawing, and dark. I'd let myself forget for a moment, then I believed that he could truly be mine. Mine to nurture and love, to care for and watch over as he grew. My chest twisted like a spike has been driven through it. I know it is wicked of me, leaving him like a widower is cruel enough, but now a boy without a mother? At least I won't be alone without me, I think, as my beloved nuzzles my cheeks, wraps his arms around me. I close my eyes. Even if it's for the briefest moment, for the first time since. No, even before I drew my last breath as my true self, I have a family. Just for this moment, they are mine and only mine. I rest in their warmth, my beloved's arms around my waist, my son sleeping softly before me, for just a little while longer. Finally, reluctantly, I break free. Watch over him while I run to the market, I whisper, carefully smoothing over my little one's blankets. Are you sure? I don't mind. I need some fresh air. I slip outside, but not towards the market square. An emptiness within me howls like an abyss, waiting to be fed. I'm afraid I would devour you both of you, you and this child, if I gave in to that hunger. 331 years ago? He injures his back in a careless accident while trying to repair the old fence. He did so against my protests. I just want to make certain nothing gets to your darling lambs, he'd said. His words twist like a knife in my gut. How could I tell you the true beast that devoured them stands right before you, her guilty eyes brimming with tears? As I help him wash that evening, he laughs and tries to reassure me, wincing sharply as he does. This is nothing to worry about, my love. I'm simply getting old. Look at my white hair. Oh, stop. Just be careful, please. I look down out of shame and see a reflection stare back at me in the water basin. He was only just turned 9 and 20, the same age that once long ago my true body met its end. My beloved wears his age beautifully, the glow of youth still alive in his skin, tempered by his calm and graceful manner. But the face I wear looks not a day over 19. I have not changed the years passed us by, and I will not change. Uh-oh. The unkind whispers about me had never ceased completely. Some gossiped that I was a witch or a creature of the mists, that I cast a glamour over myself and fed my husband potions to capture his heart, that I'd cursed a woman with death to steal her bright-eyed babe for myself. Why would a man like him ever take her for a wife, they say? If she were a fairy, she would have picked a prettier face to wear. Her eyes are like coal. How true. Aren't they dreadfully lifeless? They were foolish and petty, but more right than they knew. And just perhaps, there's more truth to their cruel words than I first thought. What if it was not death that would part me from him? What if he cast me aside? Uh-oh. My beloved was like the sun, radiant, giving warmth to all he touched, ever ready with a bright smile or kind word. Laughter and music were like breathing to him. It was hard to pull a smile or song from my mouth in contrast. But was that any fault of mine? If he smiled so easily, didn't that mean the ones he gave me were less precious, less meaningful, less special? Why would you smile for anyone but me? Uh-oh. Why would you sing for anyone but me? Uh-oh. You're at the widow's house more often, I say, seeing him pack his doctor's bag and head to the door. The collar of his shirt, the one I'd mended for him, sits crooked around his neck. I straighten it for him, wondering briefly if my body would have the strength to strangle him if I needed to. Uh-oh. Your boy isn't doing well, he replies. His voice sounds so distant, mirrored with concern. Was he worried for the child or for her? My beloved had given a beautiful eulogy when her partner passed, and I know how prettily she cried. She had a loveliness that not even her reddened eyes nor disheveled braids could lessen. He handed her his handkerchief, the one I had stitched for him, painstakingly with bell-shaped flowers and green leaves, the one that matched his hair and eyes. How could something I gave you be so easily handed away? When I thought of her face, with her glossy locks and fair skin and bright eyes, who looked so lovely even as she wept, and with her lively young son clinging to her skirts, with her healthy child who ran and laughed like children should, I wanted to bleed the iron dry from them both. When I saw my plain face and stringy red locks on the creek surface, when my son, still so small for his age, cried or fevered or would not eat, I wanted to tear off my own skin. Were you only concerned in a doctor's sense of duty, or was there something else? Whatever do you mean, darling? I didn't realize I'd, spoken my thoughts aloud. I don't remember what I said, what I accused him of, what words I cried and screamed at him. Only the misery I felt, the growing anguish written on his face. I wanted to hurt him. I wanted him to feel what I did, or to hurt like I did. It was because of him I felt this pain. It was because of him I knew joy. But it was because of him that I now suffered so much in my heart. Suffered from the knowledge that I could have to lose him. And I could not utter a word of it to him, for he was human and I was not. He was gloriously and joyfully alive, and I was only half living, one half of my heart above the ground, and the other buried beneath the earth. He was alive and I was not, and time would only tear him away from me. I would be gone, and he would replace me with someone more beautiful, more devoted, a better mother, a happier wife. And then I would wither away his memories, and nothing that remained of my love for him would be left. I could not bear the thought of anyone else at his side, any other person on this earth receiving his brightest smile, his tenderest caress. The thought of his hands encased in gloves knitted by another, fingers intertwined around another's. He was mine. He belonged to me. Why couldn't he remain mine? Why did I have to let him go? Why did I have to go back to being alone? He could not offer the words to comfort me because he did not know the depths of my anguish, nor did seeing the pain mirrored in its expression bring me satisfaction. I should die, I think I told him. I should die if he ever left me. I shall hurl myself off the cliffs. Oh, holy, what the fuck? That is when he held me so tightly I thought I would burst. I beg you, don't speak such words to me. If you die, I shall follow. If I lose you, I lose everything I have. Whatever harm may befall me, I can endure. But to see you or our child hurt, my soul could not bear it. What a fool I'd become, I realized. Yeah, girl. Girl. Foolish and jealous and flawed, almost as if I really were human. I was so tired then. I should have apologized. But I simply collapsed onto the floor and cried. Then I promised him I would not speak these words again. He kissed my brow and stroked my hair, then he swore to me in turn. I love you so much, Mila Maxwell. I'll always love you, Mila Maxwell. I'll never leave your side, not until the day I die. That's enough talk of dying today, I say, my throat dry. I've made you late. Be on your way. He sweeps back and kisses me until I'm out of breath before he does. Later that night, as I wait for his return, the sheep in their pen, our son dozing on my lap, supper growing cold in the pot, do I realize the gravity of what he'd said. If you die, I shall follow. If I lose you, I lose everything I have. I didn't know whether to be happy or afraid. I knew I would soon have to die, that I would leave this place. But did I have to leave him behind? Did you truly mean your words? Uh-oh. His steps are so quiet I don't hear him come up from the path until he swings open the gate. I rush to meet him by the door. The devastation on his face stops me dead in my tracks. Oh, the plague's here. 330 years ago. The boy's cough had turned to something much, much worse. I was thinking at first that, like, maybe she would start killing people and that would have been the plague, but nope, it's actually a plague. Alright, knocking that one off the list of theories. Gabriel, please, we should leave too. We can't save everyone here. You should take our son and go, my love. I'll write to my father's relatives. Not without you. Never. I should be dead. I should die here, not you. Please, I beg, falling to my knees before him. He lowers himself down to my height, holds me in his arms, and says in that voice ever gentle, ever soothing, "This is my duty, my love. I can't leave when there are people I can save. Our child needs saving. He needs his father. He'll have you." No, 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 he won't. I want to scream. He'll hate me. He'll never call me Maman again if he finds out what I am. Why are you so willing to give your life for the sick and helpless? Why won't you live for me? You said you would never leave me. Mila Maxwell, please! I love you. I love you and our boy more than anything on this earth. But how could I be a man worthy of you if I ran away from the oath I swore to keep? You are a knight's son, through and through. I realized then that he is my everything, but I am not everything to him. I am simply a girl whose heart you can break whenever you please. I should throw this body away and see what you think then. How you'd regret your words once you lowered me into the grave. I thought suddenly of my true face, my true self lying in the earth. It felt so very long ago when she was I and I was she. I scarcely thought of her as myself any longer. Perhaps it did not matter whether or not perhaps it did not matter whether he foolishly threw his life away. Perhaps there was another way. A way to keep him by my side forever, damn death or time or fate. If you won't go, then I must stay too. Darling, remember what I swore to you, in sickness and in health, until death parts us. This too is my duty. You are mine always, but I too am yours, no matter what happens. He closes his beautiful eyes. We can't let our child be orphaned again. He needs you. He needs his living parent, you fool. We won't. No, I will not lose him either. Our son leaves with the wagon of other children and stone-faced families for a province to the south. He has to be torn from my arms. My beloved hands him, with tears in his eyes, to that lovely young widow whose face I wanted to steal. How protectively she holds my little boy, how fiercely she swears to me to guard him. How brave and noble she looks, carrying another's child to safety even as she mourns a family of her own. I should hate her even more. But my heart is too full of misery and helplessness for more bitter resentment. He is so small and frail. What will he do when he wakes in the arms of a stranger? With neither of us by his side to hold him, to sing to him, to soothe him? Will he remember me? Will he think I abandoned him? Will he hate me for it? As long as you survive, as long as you grow up healthy and hale, you can despise me all you wish. When you are grown, I will find you again, my love, my lamb. I did not birth you, I feasted on your kin, but I am, and always will be, your mother. Late in the night, my beloved pores over books, texts, treaties, searches for anything and all that might offer a cure. I stay by his side as the candles burn, tirelessly preparing remedies to soothe the pains, herbs to mask the rot, incense to cleanse the pyres of bones charred and bodies burned. Gabriel, please, you'll be of help to no one if you collapse. He sways unsteadily. I try to pull his tall frame into his chair. He falls against it and pulls me with him onto his knees. There, he holds me for a long, long time. You're always right, my love. He rests his head back in his seat and within seconds is sound asleep. Unable to move him, I bring a blanket of heavy wool and cover him as best I can. I lay down alone on our bed that night. It had always felt so narrow, but now it is impossibly vast and empty without him. The rot has crept up his arm. It eats his right hand, covering his fingers in dark and foul splotches. His face contorts in pain when I change his bandages. It's no good. It's better I lose his arm than try and save it. My handwriting is hardly legible anyway, he tries to laugh through gritted teeth. How can you smile at a time like this? We unearth his father's sword from the chest beneath our bed. Its steel blade still glistens. I'd always wondered why he maintained it, this beautiful, deadly thing forged to kill. Perhaps he knew it would someday have its use. It didn't save him. His stump begins to rot as well, and soon the rest of his body follows. His vision goes first. His right eye becomes phlegmy and swollen. He coughs and he coughs and he coughs and he coughs, iron and phlegm escaping his pale lips. I have not had human blood in so very long. The healthy have fled, the sick taste of bitter ash. My body at last is fading alongside his. I knew I was playing a cruel game, but fate had to be crueler still. He was so full of life and kindness and love. His time could not end here. There was so much more he could do, so much more he could give. There a reason I gave myself afterwards, a list of causes, noble and benevolent. Yet in the present, in those awful, dying moments, the only truth in my heart was that I could not let him slip away from me. I could not bear to walk this world without him. I would hold on to you for eternity and never let you go. Oh my god, hi Jack. You love the truth. Welcome. We're playing toxic relationships. Welcome.
10 years old.
Thank you for the 10 years old. Yeah, welcome. How's the rest of Digimon? Speaking of toxic relations. Yeah. I mean, Phantom of the Opera, Love Never Dies is great, right? It's truly representative of the healthiest relationships. USB's died to switch to the worm game. Did you return to the banana? Yes, of course you did. But to catch you up with what's going on in the demo right now, so basically we're kind of in a flashback sequence right now. We're kind of like an immortal, kind of vampire kind of person. We feast on the flesh of the living, except we fall in love with the human man who's dying right now. And that's the gist of it. He lies unmoving on a straw mat, barely recognizable as human beneath his bandages. The incense burning in the room does little to mask the stench of rotten, decaying flesh. Somehow, he clings to life, the slow, haggard sound of his gasps, the faintest movements of his ribcage, the only proof he still breathes. His throat is too thick with phlegm and blood to do anything but gag on the water I offer him. His remaining eye, the one bright as spring, stares out, hazy and unfocused, unable to meet mine. But I know he can hear me, since I am by his side. I cradle his bandaged face, sing softly to him as I hold what's left of his remaining hand, and wait for the last breath to leave his lips. Only then do I leave his side and walk, with what little strength remaining in my borrowed bones, to the place deep in the woods where I buried myself. I attach a new arm to his flesh, sew new fingers onto his hands, and stitch new nails to each one. I stitch close his wounds, working as carefully as my impatience allows. My hands were always deft in my borrowed form, but compared to my own skin, may as well have been a child's clumsy fingers. Such freedom is like stretching my wings after being cocooned. I cannot wait to share this feeling with you, my love. I do the best I can with what I can scavenge, sighing as I work. A habit of being alive. What need did I have to breathe now? Oh, how I wished I could find another eye so green, the color of spring leaves. But this cold, dark one will have to do. I cut away his old skin, stretch a new one over his flesh, and stitch him tight until he's perfect, ashen, flawless. Save for the crooked crescent moon I carve into his wrist. From my heart I give him my lifeblood, my ichor. Into his marble lips I pour iron from my discarded body's veins. Then I wait, and I watch as his eyes flicker open. Oh, it's red! Oh, there's blood everywhere! I cradle his head against my chest, my fingers entwined around his wispy silver locks. Welcome back, my love, I whisper. His body is still for a moment, at rest in my arms, then his eyes go wide. Suddenly, he pushes me back, staring at me in confusion and panic. What happened? Who? My wife, where is she? Darling, it's me, your Mila Maxwell. Recognition does not light up in his eyes. I had thought foolishly that he would know me in any form. But he was only human. He brings his hand before his face and stops, Slowly, he turns his flawless fingers over, staring at each one. Get on stream. Hi, Mimi. How you doing? Hope your fit husband. I watch as his features twist in confusion, realization, and finally, horror. Oh, it's all red behind him. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He jerks away from me and climbs to his feet. There I can see his fear and revulsion only grow as he scans the room. In my haste, I still had not cleaned after myself. Oh no, he's missing a titty. Oh no. I watch as his eyes fall on the bodies, the torn flesh and skin and iron and bone. On a skull with long and once lovely red hair, its one empty socket gorged out. Then he screams and buries his face in his beautiful hands and screams again. Come on, OBS. There we go. Reconnection successful. Hey, can you hear me? Am I back? Welcome back. Thank you. I hope the stream didn't like completely cut off. Cool, 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 cool. Let me refresh the karaoke chat. I mean, it's not the karaoke chat, it's the regular chat. Yeah, my internet flickered right there. It happened last night too. I might have to check something. Last night, well, nah, we got the scene. Yeah, okay, cool. It happened last night when I was playing Final Fantasy as well. I might have to like check on something. I don't know what's up with that. It was like a very short flicker. I don't know. I'll bring up with Etch later because he's the big internet expert here. I'm hoping that doesn't cut the VOD. Let me check. Okay, looks like we're still good. Okay, cool. Anyway, back to horror stuff. What are you? What have you done? He asks me few questions and speaks few words. He does nothing but stare. Stare at the charred remains of the pyres against the sky, day and night. Stare at his hands, his perfect hands, as they are ashen claws of a beast. He does not drink unless I force the iron down his lips. One night, after a long hunt, I returned to find the house empty, his familiar form gone from its vacant seat, leaving nothing behind but the memories of the life we once shared. Autumn, 300 years ago. Cool! It was 30 years before I saw him again. He'd cut his beautiful silver hair short, haphazardly, strands of it falling over his bandaged eye. He wore a shirt of iron rings beneath the muddy jerkin, the emblem of some lord emblazoned on it, faded and scratched from battle. On his forearms he wore hard leather vambraces, over his hands rough, worn gloves. Oh, if I had been sated then, I would have wept. I'd had 30 years to walk, alone. To wash the human senses from my mind and return to the creature that I was. Cold, unchanging, unfeeling. I had traveled south in my search of my child. I wondered if he had done the same. I would not give him the cruel fate I granted you. I only wanted to gaze at him from a distance, wish him well, see how he'd grown. But families fleeing plague and pestilence is a story too common in these lands when the mist once fell. Nobody could recall a widow carrying a red-haired boy. My poor, sweet darling was always so fragile, so frail. The journey would have been difficult for him, even without the threat of sickness. Oh, if only... On the nights I hunted, forged on iron red and sweet until my heart again started to beat, memories would come back to me. I would think of him and of you. I longed for you so ardently. I wanted both to hold you and tear you to pieces, to rip the beautiful skin I'd stitched for you to shreds, to sink my fangs into your throat and watch the ichor drain from your snow-white flesh. I would curse your name and cry for you in the same breath. I would wonder if you'd ever loved me as deeply, as endlessly as I'd loved you. I would cry for your return, for you were mine, you were mine, you were always mine. Then I would weep and sing myself to sleep. But even when the flow of fresh blood had gone from my veins, deep within my still heart, I still loved you. Beneath that, I resented you. But above all, I missed you so keenly, so terribly, as if a piece of myself was gone. There, standing before you in that field again, I would have fallen to my knees and wept to see what you'd become. My gentle, harmless lamb, I'd changed you. I turned you against your nature, forced you to hunt and maim, to take the role of a common soldier. How starved have you been? How desperate that you'd sip like a carrion crow on the bodies that littered the battlefield. I knew how much it must have tortured you. But as long as humans warred, we of the dead should never go hungry. That thought was a sharp and bitter feeling in my cold heart. A waste of the precious life given to them, if only. There, you dropped to the ground and knelt at my feet. Gabriel? How I longed to hold you in my arms, caress your face. Oh, when I saw you, decades apart may as well have been days. I would beg your forgiveness, I would kiss your sweet lips and sigh, just as I opened my mouth to speak. I cannot walk beside you as your husband, my lady, you said. The shepherdess I loved died in that village, alongside the man I was. If my heart was not already dead, it would have turned to stone and crumbled away to dust. And I cannot walk alone any longer, I can't. I have no path to follow now but yours, no other purpose to serve than yours. Please, let me devote myself to you. In your voice I heard a lost lamb begging to be guided, to be left alone no longer. A feeling I knew all too well. Rise, sweet Gabriel, I am happy you returned to me. I only ask one thing, you replied, still kneeling. If I ever lose myself, go mad for blood, turn into a monstrous being, you must destroy me. Don't speak such words to me. Promise me. You stared at me with one green eye, pleading. Even as my true self, it seemed I could not refuse you after all. Very well, I promise. Winter, present. Oh, we're waking up now. Good morning. The world says hello. I wake up to the sound of a crackling fire, a smoky, savory scent thick in the air. I try to stretch my limbs, but hit rough, solid wood. Strangely, my side of the bed never reached the wall. The cabin, that night, the wolves? Him! I sit straight up on the furs. I try to stop the pounding in my chest, the thing that should never be so easy. That thing that should be so easy. But not when I'm half alive in this unfamiliar skin. Not when I'm weak, iron-addled, filled with the lingering, crushing weight of 1,000 useless memories. At the other side of the room, he sits on the stool, tending to a large pot over the fire. Steam wafts from it, hearing the scent of boiling roots and herbs, bones and meat. Dry, bloodless meat. I try to calm my nerves. I try to remember what I came here to do. To stop a monster from harming any more innocent souls. And if that monster should be the knight I made a vow to so long ago, to keep that promise. I try to shake off the traces of half-painted, worthless dreams that cloud my resolve, but their shadows linger in my heart. Perhaps it's because he's changed from the night before. Now the faintest trace of color paints his cheeks. His pale brow no longer looks so cold, the iron flowing slow, sluggish beneath his skin as he spoons up broth into a small bowl and sets it on the table before me. Whatever creature gave its life for this meal sated him as well. He must be starving in that form, he states plainly. My stomach does rumble at the scent, but I ignore it. I stare at the bowl and then at him. I steel my mind and my voice, burying the embers that flicker in my heart like ash. Well, my hunter, what did you find? Fires burning in the villages, families mourning their daughters, like you said. You sound so pained, so angered. I should believe his ignorance, his innocence, but doubt still lingers in my mind. Can I believe you? You who can spin lies into songs that sound sweeter than truth. You who can pretend to all the world to be my dearest prince, then look at me in revulsion when we're alone. You who swore you could love me for all your days and never leave my side, but now flee from me at every opportunity. Who are you? Perhaps the man I thought I knew died long ago. Perhaps I never knew you at all. I don't know what to be more furious about. That you tried to use yourself as baits, or that you tried to ensnare me. I ignore his remark. Thank you. Etch got me a drink. Did you find any trace of our killer? Or was he in the room with me? No, not yet. He motions to the bowl. Eat first. It'll go cold if you don't. I'm not hungry. Don't lie to me, please. I stare at him, trying to turn my nose from the savory scent. Man, I like soup. I'm eating. Fine. Gingerly, I scoop a spoonful of the broth and bring it to my lips. It's simple but savory, far better than a meal thrown together in the wilds has any right to be. Perhaps it is only the excitement of that long-forgotten sense of returning to me, taste. A taste that brings me back to the small house in a countryside town, rain pattering outside the windows. A song sweeter than the lyre's notes on his lips, the babe in my lap giggling as he plays with my hair. I swallow the memory as I bite down on the spoon. Tastes just like how you used to make it. He looks at me with an unreadable expression as I take another spoonful, then another. Once I have finished the bowl, he rises to his feet. For a moment, his eyes rest in the empty space by the bed next to me, but he quickly settles into the low stool by the hearth instead. Did you find what you were looking for? What? I know you searched through my things. They're a mess now. They were a mess to begin with. If anything, I left them neater. I stop myself from continuing that useless conversation any further. No, my hunter. You clean yourself after yourself well. You seem so sure that I lured your lost victims, but how would the funeral pyres have bodies to burn if I brought them here? Not here then. Did you attack them in the forests, in their homes? What are you hiding then? A secret lover? I say the words half as jest, but didn't expect them to react so strongly. No, I never lured anyone to my bed. At least not until last night, when you saw this face. But I knew it was you wearing it. Spirits, is this a crime now to seduce my own wife? I look down at my hands. Why'd that sentence make my skin feel so warm? But I wouldn't have taken it that far. Not with that body. Of course you wouldn't. You'd never touch me at all. Not since you slipped another ring on my finger did you hold my hands once without those damned gloves. But the beautiful hands I made for you. You're in another woman's skin, Celine. If I wanted to. What is it that you want, Gabriel? You want to fuck me? Your pretty little shepherdess is never coming back. Why do you keep coming back? Why do you return to me if you despise me so? Why become my consort in the first place? Why couldn't we just stay at arm's length the way we were? Lady and knight, shepherdess and lamb, a love that burned once but was destined to smolder into cold white ash. Not this lie, not this tale we wrote for the world. Take heed before ye iron bleed, for the ashen prince will come for thee, with heart of stone and cloak of snow. Where the mist queen wanders, he shall go. Why couldn't I let you go? Why does that thought, even now, tear me into 1,000 pieces? I don't despise being at your side. Liar. I only wish you would listen to me for once. He stops, lips frozen mid-sentence like a statue. Then, without a sound, he cranes his head as if trying to hear something above the winter wind. What is it? He motions for me to be quiet. I'm not finished, I don't have to listen to you. But some instinct in my half-living heart bids me to indulge him. I sit very, very still. All of a sudden, it's vividly apparent to me at how much sound I make in a warm, living body. How blood pounds through my ears as I struggle to breathe as quietly and shallowly as I can. All the while, my hunter sits as still as a marble, cold as stone. Then, with the sweep of his cloak, he rises from the stool. I hear it now, too. Footsteps crunching through the snow, drawing nearer. Flicking his head towards the bed, he signals for me to hide. I slip myself as best as I can beneath the uncomfortably cramped space as I watch his footsteps approach the door. My heart feels like it's in my throat. My living human instincts scream at me to run. But I do not. I wait, and I wait. Until, from the other side of the wooden door, comes a slow, simple knock. I hold my breath as my hunter slowly swings open the door. The wind whistles and the snow makes its way inside the cabin, but my hunter does not move. He stands so still, makes no sound at all save a small, sharp breath. Who is it? Why won't you say anything? Celine? What? Then, in a sing-song voice, a familiar voice, an impossible voice, the intruder speaks. What's wrong, darling? What's wrong, darling? Are you so surprised to see me, my sweet Endymion? Won't you invite me inside? Oh, fuck, she sees me. Oh, shit, that's a really good ending. Whoa! The plot twist of the fucking century right there. Whoa! Yeah! Darling, don't you recognize me? Whoa! It's me, your sweet Mila Maxwell! No! It's Mila! Oh, whoa. Oh yeah, that's at the end of the flashback. Yeah, end of the flashback. That's what he saw. Yo, that was so good! Like, the longer the demo went on, the more it was hooking me. I was just like, oh? And God damn it, now I'm gonna have to get this one. Hi, Tomochi, you missed the fucking game! Tomochi missed the game! Wow! How are you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic one. But you missed it. We just reached the end of the demo I was playing today. We have some extras we can look at. Guess you gotta replay it. It took me like 2 hours to read that. Yeah. So yeah, this game is on Steam. There are some extras too, so let's look at that. Well, holy shit, that was really, really good. Like, I also want to play it again, not for you, Tomochi. I also want to play it again because like they're basically kind of dancing around the subjects at the beginning of the demo, and that looks really. And now I kind of want to play it again just to catch all those little things. Now that I know their history going on. But holy shit, what the fuck happened at the end of that one? So there's extras here. There's bonus scenes. There's 3 different bonus scenes. I only have one of them though. I don't know how you get the other 2, but at your bedside suffering. I guess is okay. I stoked the flames of the dying fire, watching them flicker hungrily back to life. I wonder if you're cold. Oh, it's while she's sleeping. It's while she's sleeping on there. While she's having her flashback. I wonder if you're cold. I wonder what you're thinking, wandering through the woods in the snow with barely more than a cape of thin wool. But my anger burns away when I see your sleeping face. I want so desperately to hold you, but I don't dare try. I'm afraid to. Afraid to imagine the feeling of your skin turning to rot and decay. No, I cannot reach out and grasp what I desire. I am a coward whose existence only makes you suffer. I know that. What's so great is my fear that I cannot bring myself to leave your side. To let someone else take the place beside you that I clawed for myself. To free you from my presence and walk my path entirely alone. To exist in a world where you do not need me any longer. Spirits, what should I do? What should I do? Would you be angry with me when you awoke? No, what a senseless question. How angry would you be? What could I say to you? How could I convince you to believe me? Please don't condemn me. I'm your loyal servant still. I haven't changed. I need you. You need me too, don't you? You still love me, don't you? Don't you know how much you make me suffer? I whisper in your ear. Perhaps you did, but it didn't matter. Perhaps my cowardice was worse than your cruelty. I stroke your hair as you whimper in your sleep. Then I gently bring my lips to your feverish brow. You taste of ash and ruin. So I don't know if we can get the other two scenes in the demo. I mean, this is the demo, so maybe it would be like if you chose different options, you could get the other scenes. I don't know. I'd have to look. Holy yeah, there is the girl. Oh, one of them's locked too. So I guess it's from a bonus scene. But it's cool that like it's divided between the three forms that she takes. So like the current one, the one that they met with, and this one. Like, yo. Yeah, I really like that. Let me pull it up on Steam. So let's see. Yeah, so if you want to wishlist, I don't think this has a release date yet. They have another game that's releasing this year, but I don't think this one's slated for this year. It's neat as hell, right? So there we go. So you can go ahead and wishlist that if you were interested, and also you can play the demo. It's a free demo, and that was really good. And apparently there's stuff I'm not finding today, so that's your encouragement. And if you came in during the stream and you missed the beginning of it, I highly recommend you just play from the beginning and experience everything that happened. It's very good though. Thumbs up. But again, the developer did reach out to me to try out the demo. I was already planning to, but it feels nice. So good game, good movie so far. I'm happily awaiting the rest of it. But yeah, that's all I planned for tonight. So let's start queuing up a raid. So let me think. So there's no more streams for the rest of the week. Tomorrow we have some people coming over, so can't really stream if there's people over. So there won't be any streams till Sunday night at earliest, but Monday night probably for the weekly collab I have with Vel. We're gonna be playing. Well, I'm gonna be playing more Dragon Age 2 on Monday, and Vel's gonna be heckling me. So if you like watching me being heckled, go ahead. But yeah. Any other business? So on Twitter, I still have a poll going on. If you haven't voted, please go vote. Let me pull that up too. That's not the thing. Okay, so right now, this is kind of weird. Sonic 06 has suddenly surged in the poll. So it is currently a tie between a Dakimakura file and Sonic 06 wallpaper. So if you haven't voted, please go vote, because I would like a decision, please. Check, was it you? Did you suddenly summon a bunch of votes for Dakimakura. I mean, not Dakimakura, for Sonic 06. I'm guessing it was your fault. The power of Sonic? Okay. Alright, I believe you. He did nothing? Wow. I don't know. I don't know. Suspicious denial right there. Let's see who's online. I don't know. Little sussy. Little tiny bit sussy here. Okay, this person's been going for like 10 years. In all honesty, I'm probably just gonna get a raid and run, so I'm just gonna go send y'all the ducks today. So it's duck season. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me for this demo. It was a very nice experience. Again, check it out if you're interested in the demo, and I'll see you either on Sunday night or Monday night for the collab. Anyway, bye.